Has someone ever done something to you in order to hurt you? They said something, they did something, and their intention was to hurt you. What does God want you to do with that? In Genesis chapter 44 and 45, we see the greatest story, I think, in the whole book of Genesis and maybe the whole Bible. I still can't read the words of the climax of the story without bringing tears to my eyes. It's unbelievable. After being sold into slavery, and after being in Potiphar's house and being in prison, and then being raised to the top of the heap in Egypt, there comes a moment when Joseph reveals himself to his brothers. And he says, I am Joseph. What you did for evil, God meant for good. Those words could change your life. When you understand that what someone did to you because they hated you, because they wanted something for themselves, for whatever reason, and they meant to hurt you, God meant that for good. God allowed them to do that for good in your life. The Bible tells us in Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. Whatever event that is in your life, do you know that God has a purpose in it? Do you know that God meant that for good in your life, and He can turn that around and make that good? This is the entire point of the life of Joseph, that God turns evil into good. So why don't you take a few minutes this morning and go back and revisit that dark piece of your life, that thing that happened to you that you just say, I just can't reconcile that, and say, Lord, this happened. Can you help me understand how you meant this for good? Some of you already figured this out, but if you haven't, maybe do a little bit of business with God today and say, Lord, how did you mean this for good in my life? And you know something? It may not make sense today, but one day you're going to understand God meant it for good.